It's a movie about a puppet made with puppets. Well, it's amazing someone didn't do it long ago.
What possibilities does stop motion open for you as storytellers, just in general, and how did you both manage to take full advantage of it?
I think that stop motion allows you to create an entire world that's homogeneous, it's a thing that you can control, and you can take certain elements of it, and you can exaggerate them, and you can take other elements and you can bring them down, so that you can
Modulated.
modulate it and put the emphasis where you want it. It's also, it's a movie about a puppet made with puppets. Well, it's amazing someone didn't do it long ago, you know. It's also, the process is so it's we're a bunch of geppettos in a workshop, making this thing. We're artists, and we're carving. We're literally carving and casting
Painting.
and painting. Yeah. So this when you watch the film, you feel the artist. You feel all of us in there.
You feel the handmade, yeah.
Yeah. The manipulation of it is it's sort of comforting in a way. It's warm. You can relate to it, maybe in a way that certain other technologies you can't relate to quite as much. But that's what I love about stop motion. It's like one of the oldest forms of filmmaking there is. It was one of the first things that they tried, and so to that extent, and you would think it would be dead now, right? You would think, oh, it should be
It's
extinct.
such an ancient form.
Yeah, but it's like, well, oil, there's photography, but oil painting isn't dead. It has something to say.
Yeah.
It's a language of its own. And if you find the right story to tell and the right people to tell that story, you can create something quite beautiful and moving, I think.
Stop motion is profoundly human. Number one, you see the artists, as Mark was saying, and if you consider the fact that Pinocchio is the factor that makes or breaks a movie about Pinocchio, and Pinocchio needs to exist in a world that admits him as a reality. In other words, the uncanny valley or the fugue point of the fable is for you to believe that Pinocchio exists. The best possible way is to do it on a stop motion movie, because he's in a level ground with all the other characters. Everybody is a puppet, but he doesn't behave like a puppet. But you visually admit it. It's so difficult, and it's one of the hardest things to solve in designing Pinocchio, to solve the design of Pinocchio. And fortunately for us, we had a huge jumpstart with Chris Grimley's Pinocchio, who he did for his book. I saw it and I thought, this is it. We gotta go in this direction. And of course, the other thing stop motion gives you is, frankly, in a very sophisticated way, is one of the purest forms of film. Uh, you have the simplicity and an essential connection of a kid playing with toys, but the incredible technical and artistic feat of making them seem alive. It's infusing. It's is God breathing a soul into a sculpture. Is the act of giving life in a way that no other cinematic form does. In a way, we are not there to capture an accident or a moment in a camera that actors are doing. We are creating everything.
And it's an extremely intimate act,
Incredibly.
because it comes down to the animator
And the puppet.
and the puppet and the camera. It's like they're in there by themselves making this thing happen. They're literally breathing life into this puppet. And I can tell you, and I'm sure Guillermo would feel the same way, my experience as an animator myself, when I was animating these puppets, when I got a shot that worked, when I could look at a character that
Yeah.
I had brought to life, that I could see it thinking, I could see it processing information, there was no greater satisfaction. I mean, it was just a beautiful moment. It's creation.
Imagine
Wow.
there's a great story by Edgar Allan Poe called The Oval Portrait, where a man paints the portrait of his beloved, and as he finishes it, he says, "This is life itself," and his beloved is dead. And what you think, the act of transmission, animators are giving that puppet days of their lives for seconds of its life. It's such
Wow.
a sacred, beautiful, transcendental thing. It's impossible to describe unless you experience it. And my hope is, if we did our job right, there will be a moment in the film where you will not think of those puppets as puppets, but just as great actors.